Hello, Shahaf. Nice to meet you. Whoa. Nice to meet you. So as we were saying, Shahaf actually has two hats, right? As everyone in crypto, nobody in crypto is just one thing. I've never met someone in crypto that said, I'm only this. Shahaf has two very important hats. One is as a CEO of Koti, which is an enterprise layer 1, a blockchain. And another hat as a chairman and co-founder of UnCaged, which is actually building a AAA Web3 games, right? Yeah. So, Shahaf, could you introduce yourself and your multiple edges?
Hello, everybody. Great to be here. I actually thought I was at 1:15, so it's quite a miracle that I was only able to be late in 5 minutes. So sorry about that. Yeah, well, I've been in crypto since 2015, mostly known as the founder of Koti, which is an enterprise layer 1, pretty big. I'll get into that in more details in a minute. I'm also the chairman of UnCaged. UnCaged is building AAA gaming experiences in Web3. So this long name means that we're building games that are actually fun to play, not Axie Infinity, but they are built on our robust Web3 infrastructure. I'm also a partner at one of the probably best performing hedge funds in crypto called Oracles since 2018. And funny enough, I actually owned a company called Web3 in 2006. So way before the Bitcoin white paper. Wow. Yeah, it actually did very different things to Web3, but I can always say that I own that company. So don't tell any, so people know me by that, so don't tell everybody that it was just a name. What did you Web3? It was a media company. It was eventually acquired by McCann Erickson, the IPG group, and then I got into crypto, luckily enough. Oh, wow. One story. Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, knowing that you have been in Web3 before everyone, how did you actually got into Web3 as we know? Like, what was the moment you said, oh, there's something here, let's get into blockchain and Web3 as we know now?
Oh, yeah. So actually, my first introduction with the field was in 2012.
2012.
Yeah, so a good friend of mine, Eyal Herzog, is the founder of Bancor. He sent me and about 100 other guys an email saying, look at Bitcoin. You should absolutely buy Bitcoin right now. It was trading at $15, right? It was June 2012, yeah.
That's a good friend, yeah.
So what do, right? So obviously I ignored it.
Keep him, yeah.
Obviously, right? Because Eyal is also the guy that always sends you email about aliens and all other things. So they say, oh yeah, it's another one of those, right? So we ignored it. Everybody but one guy who actually kind of like bet everything on it. Like took a mortgage. He bought Bitcoin like $100,000 at $15 back then. Yeah, and we were like, man, how was that experience? He said, you know, well, the next year it was trading at $2. And because it was that bad, I never sold it because I couldn't admit to my wife like how bad I was.
Oh, wow.
So he stayed the course until it didn't matter anymore, right? And yeah, so this is how I was introduced to Bitcoin. So it was kind of a flirt. And then after selling my company in 2015, I felt like everything kind of directed me into this because it was, you know, part consumer internet, which was, you know, my specialty, and part finance. And I fell in love with this. So, you know, I was lucky enough to participate in all the big ICOs back then. Mm-hmm. Nothing smart. It was just being at the right place at the right time, and opening up for opportunities. But I am a better operator and founder than an investor. So in 2017, we said, hey, we want to solve payments on blockchain. And Ethereum was was crap back then. It was no good for that, and we decided to build our own layer 1. So we built Cody, which is it's blockchain without blocks. It's actually using what is called a DAG, direct acyclic graph. Hedera uses that as well, and IOTA. But we've built it differently and scaled it since 2018 and got it to be an enterprise-grade product.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I love how anyone who's in Bitcoin in 2012 talks about Bitcoin and aliens and conspiracy theories and all these kind of fantasies, and you don't know if you which of the ones is like the good one. It was,
you know, the funny thing is that there are probably aliens, and he's right, after everything. Well,
exactly. Who knows? Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto is definitely not human.
Yeah.
So thank you for your introduction. It's very right actually that you consider yourself more of an operator than an investor, and still getting into this raising technology, because it allows us to have a vision that's more based on an operator and someone who's seeing the trends and how to use those trends and use cases, rather than is the price going up or down. So I would love to chat with you about what do you think are the upcoming cases for blockchain, basically. What will bring the next 100 million users to the space?
Yeah, so we're looking at two things, and I think, you know, we're well positioned for both, right? So, you know, I think, you know, Web3 right now, there are about 2.5 million wallets dealing with Web3, which is a small city in the US, right? Yeah. Not even that. So the big question is, you know, whether you cater to these 2.5 million wallets, whether you're trying to aim to the lucrative 2.5 part of this 2.5 million wallets, or are you trying to bring in the next 100 millions of people into crypto, right? So we're looking actually at the latter. So enterprises around the world already have, you know, millions and hundreds of millions of users. So it's actually their decision if crypto will be adopted in many ways. If Apple is opening up NFT purchases right now, right, through the App Store, Apple will bring a lot of adoption, by definition. So, so we're trying to aim into what can we do for enterprises that will help them bring users, and that will mean that people are using our chain. And the other field is gaming, because gaming has proven itself throughout time to be a technology that brings in a lot of adoption. And we're aiming into that as well. So in Cody, what we see, what enterprises are actually looking at right now, so logistics is pretty big, obviously. We're not offering anything into logistics. But the other two big things are payments and loyalty. Now, it makes a lot of sense, because if you are an enterprise and you engage a lot with your users, say e-commerce, you control the entire experience, but not the final part when it comes to payments. This is when you tell your users, hey, this was your experience to this point, and now I'm sending you to someone else to deal with the payments. He can decline, he can charge all these fees, he owns the data, like he can send you a follow-up email. We can't, it's yours. So obviously enterprises don't like that, because it costs them a lot of money, and they lose control of something super important in that. So the brave ones right now are building private payment networks. So think of it that way. Let's say I'm Amazon, right? I'm giving this example on Amazon because Amazon is not doing that, right? So let's say Amazon issues the Amazon dollar. It's a stable coin. And when you use the Amazon ecosystem, you can use the Amazon digital dollar. Right? So I'm paying Amazon. When Amazon wants to pay a merchant, they can use that dollar, etc. And it goes into this type of circulation. Why is it big? Because everything is instantaneous. They control the aspects of data that they don't have foreign exchange fees, so it's perfect for them. The big problem is obviously the cold start problem. How do you start such a network? Because nobody has the Amazon US dollars at that point, right? And there are many ways to solve that. One of them is actually loyalty. Because loyalty is one of these few places where blockchain is so much better than other types of technologies. Because, you know, a lot of the things, and I'll be the first to admit it, when you look at them, you say, nah, you don't need blockchain here. Actually, a server will do a much better work, and nobody cares, so that's better. But think about loyalty. The biggest problem with loyalty and all these experiences is that they are all siloed, right? There's a coffee shop. They'll give you this, you know, the 10th coffee is free. You can use it, but only in this coffee shop. Let's say you had this, but you can buy coffee, you know, complete 10 purchases anywhere, right? And maybe not just coffee. Maybe if you eat breakfast at the next shop, they'll give you something, et cetera, and this whole thing works better. This is why mileage with credit cards works better, because you can spend anywhere and redeem in a few airlines. But if you are, let's say, Amazon, right, and you issue this loyalty program where users can, you know, buy from any merchant on Amazon and get these points, and when they want to redeem them, they can do it anywhere, because the Twin Hotel in Ibiza can decide, hey, I want to accept these loyalty points. I don't need integration to servers and all these IT problems that, you know, never works. I can just accept this, right? I can have a QR code, a crypto wallet, and accept these points. So now they are part of this ecosystem, and this can grow pretty wildly. So this is another big thing that we are seeing right now. And, you know, with Koti, we're trying to serve these two audiences. We're pretty uniquely positioned to solve this because of our own layer one, because it's super scalable, etc. So this is what we see with enterprises. The next big thing is games, as I've mentioned. We are all pretty accustomed right now to the fact that if we love a game, if it has entertainment value and we'll play, it's okay that we know that we bury a lot of money in this game. Now, I don't know how many of you have kids at the ages of 8 to 16. They'll spend a lot of money in games, and it's great. I mean, they say that they spend it. The reality is that I spend it actually, but for them it's fine to build all, you know, buy all these cosmetics and everything. It's great, and it's entertaining and fine, great. But it's buried there, and at some point of time, they would not like this game anymore, or even, you know, this game would not like them anymore and deplatform them, and then it's gone. All this value is gone. What is happening right now with Web3 games is actually the gamers own the assets that they play with, right? I have a magical sword, it's mine, and I play it with that game. And then maybe I can sell it somewhere if I don't want it anymore. Or maybe I can build on top of it something greater. Maybe I can, you know, win a tournament with this sword, and now it's worth more, right? Like the jersey that Michael Jordan wore at the last dance is worth more because of what happened with it. So now it's worth more, now I can sell it. And it's more than that. They actually, the gamers own major aspects of the economy of the game. So instead of, as a studio, instead of spending, you know, about half of your money on advertising, you actually spend that on the community that plays the game, and they'll bring in all their friends because, you know, they are a citizen of this nation and they love it. So the token become sort of self-marketing sort of aspect. So a lot of great things are happening right now in Web3 games. We are only at the beginning of it. Our studio and other great studios are building much better games than what we've seen to date. So the theme right now is not play to earn, because that was a bad idea, actually, play to earn. Yeah, play to earn was a bad idea. Like if I need to pay you to play the game, something is off, right? And if you can't explain to people, like just to make sure that everybody is aware, the GameFi 1.0, the games that we've seen really crushing it the last 2 years, the idea was you play the game and you won crypto rewards, like the asset of the game, and you can sell it, and this became pretty big because the idea is brilliant. The execution, however, was very growth dependent. So like if you can't explain to me, hey, all these tokens that players are getting as rewards, where do they come from? How are they manufactured? So if the game is continuously creating these tokens and bringing it to users, you will always be dependent on the next user coming and the next user coming. And we have a name for that. It's called a Ponzi. So if you can't explain where the tokens are coming from, this is a Ponzi scheme, even if you're not aware of it. So the economies that are built right now around Web3 games are much better. It's more skill-based, right? So you're getting your rewards because you are a better player than the other player that is actually spent these rewards. So this is where this frontier is coming, and I think it will be huge. And if we solve a lot of the things that kind of hinder adoption right now for games, you will see the next 100 million users coming from that. So it will be enterprise payments and these tokens, or games, or a combination. They don't compete. I think this is where we'll see the magic happens.
Thank you very much for that laying that map out. I'm going to do a little Spanish summary and then actually have some questions. So basically, le hemos preguntado a Shahaf de dónde cree o por dónde cree que va a venir la adopción de uso de la blockchain, no tanto a nivel de inversión, sino dónde va a estar los siguientes 100 millones de usuarios que usen aplicaciones basadas en blockchain o que usen usos basados en blockchain. Y nos decía, bueno, pues que realmente ahora mismo hay unos 2 millones de wallets. Para llegar a 100 no es suficiente. Y él ve, bueno, 2 entradas principales ahora mismo. Uno, el uso de blockchain por las grandes empresas, y 2, el sector de los videojuegos. Al final es una realidad. Por ejemplo, si Apple empieza a usar aplicaciones que acepten pues, criptos blockchain, va a haber muchísima utilidad. ¿Por qué? Porque en la Apple Store hay muchísimos millones de usuarios. Y luego está el tema de gaming, que entraremos un poquito en ello. Al final, él comentaba que en una empresa, ahora mismo, pues de productos, de lo que sea, la empresa controla todo, hasta el momento de venta. Cuando el usuario compra, se va a otra plataforma, ya sea pues PayPal, Stripe, lo que sea. Están en tu página web, con tus datos, con tu engagement, con tu participación, y en el momento de pagar, el usuario tiene que irse a otro lado. Claro, ¿qué pasa? Ese otro lado es el que decide las comisiones, tiene todos los datos de pago, etc. Y esto a las empresas no les gusta. ¿Por qué? Porque no quieren sacar a sus usuarios de su propio ecosistema. Entonces, imaginaos, por ejemplo, que Amazon pues, hace su American Dollar. Tienes un stablecoin que ellos controlan la capa de interacción, etc. No tendrían que sacar a la gente de Amazon pues, para poder pagarla. Y al final hay algunas cosas que él precisamente dice, ¿no? ¿Para qué usar blockchain? O sea, blockchain no está aquí solo por marketing, no hay que usar blockchain en todos lados. Pero sí que es verdad que, pese a que hay muchos usos que no requieren una blockchain, algunos sí. Hoy en día. Por ejemplo, él dice que 2 de los problemas que hay, el primero es cómo empezar, cómo las empresas se meten en este sector, y el segundo sería, por ejemplo, el caso de los programas de lealtad, de loyalty, ¿vale? Ya sea, por ejemplo, como sabemos que ha pasado en Starbucks, ¿no? Que han anunciado un programa de lealtad donde, bueno, pues lo típico, ¿no? Tomas 9 cafés, el 10º te lo regalo. Pues ese es un programa de lealtad que las empresas usan para interaccionar con sus clientes y blockchain podría ser usado en este aspecto. Entonces, lo que decía él también es que, claro, tú imagínate, en los hoteles, etcétera, ellos podrían usar un tipo de token que no sea fiat, pero que no tengan que salir de su propia plataforma para usarlo, ahorrándose pues un montón de cosas, como por ejemplo contratar servidores externos, etcétera, 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 ¿no? También teniendo y manteniendo los datos. Eso usando pues unos puntos o unas monedas, unos tokens que funcionan como programa de lealtad de los usuarios. Y cree que por ahí puede haber una adopción masiva realmente de gente usando blockchain. Y el segundo punto que decía es de videojuegos. ¿Cuánta gente tiene niños, hijos de 8 a 16 años que realmente es una realidad? Se gastan mucho dinero en videojuegos. Pero ¿qué pasa? Que al cabo de 2 años, 3 años, 4 años se cansan y adiós. Y todo este dinero desaparece. ¿Por qué? Porque lo han gastado y estamos muy acostumbrados. Videojuegos, compro para tal, compro para cual, y es dinero perdido. Con la blockchain todos estos activos que se compran se podrían reaprovechar, se podrían revender una vez pues el niño o no tan niño se cansa. Entonces eso crea una economía nueva que realmente se puede aprovechar. Y estamos muy acostumbrados a un tipo de videojuegos dentro del sector blockchain que se llama Play to Earn, que según dice Shahaf no tiene sentido. ¿Por qué? Como decíamos antes de que viniera, el Play to Earn es yo juego y gano. Pero claro, ¿de dónde viene ese dinero? ¿De dónde vienen esos tokens? Esos tokens, ese dinero, vienen de los otros usuarios que empiezan a jugar nuevos. Y dice que, bueno, que eso tiene un nombre, que se llama esquema Ponzi. Entonces, los tokenomics o los esquemas de usar tokens y blockchain dentro de los videojuegos van a cambiar y evolucionar mucho más de lo que ahora conocemos como Play to Earn, y que se están creando, están desarrollándose en estudios de programación de videojuegos, pues esquemas mucho más buenos que los que vemos hasta ahora. Al final, un estudio de videojuegos, en lugar de gastar dinero en publicidad del juego, puede gastar dinero en pues, incentivar este tipo de dinámicas y que los propios usuarios sean los que luego le dicen a sus amigos, oye, mira, tengo esto, estoy ganando tal, y así se crea una publicidad más de comunidad, ¿no? There's more like community vibe than actually from Web2, that I'm the authority, I sell you a product and I spend all this in publicity, but now there's a community and the community makes the advertising and publicity by themselves. La comunidad es la que realmente hace el boca a boca y es lo que crea esa inercia. Y bueno, que vienen muchos buenos momentos y la industria del videojuego va a ser gigante según su punto de vista. Así que thank you for that point of view. Did you understand?
No.
I have 2 questions, though. First of all, in terms of enterprises, I wonder if you think there's any kind of fear from them in the sense of, okay, we can work on the blockchain level, whether that's with coins, tokens, or points, or loyalty programs, but how are they going to be worried that there's going to be some kind of issue if they want to cash out to fiat because of treasury finance? Can that provoke some friction? Because it's very easy to move, you have all the data, but you're not on the fiat layer. So I don't know if companies would prefer to stay in the fiat layer rather than to go to that other layer where it's easier, but maybe not that liquid, or they can have more problems cashing out. Can there be some friction there?
Well, spot on. Well, I personally speak with a lot of enterprises about their blockchain, ventures for the past few years. I think, Andy Grove from Intel said that only the paranoid survive, and enterprises are a lot like that. They didn't get to be this big because they take all these risks all the time, right? And especially people working in enterprises, and they want to make sure that they stay employed. And it doesn't pay off to take all these major risks. So it takes a unique type of people in enterprises and unique set of situations for them to do something as big as going into blockchain. Now, what's the big problem? It's technology is complex, but our technologies are complex as well. It's not the thing. It's regulation more than anything. Because Bitcoin is for money laundering and drugs, obviously. Right? This is the perception, the old perception. It was very difficult for them to get into crypto until I would say 2019, when the major institutional grade funds got into Bitcoin in many other ways. So the perception now is different, but you need to solve a lot of things for enterprises. Let's look at a few things. One, they are a bit fearful from blockchains that are permissionless. Permissionless means they have no control. If they have no control, they may not meet their fiduciary duties of making sure that everything is controlled. So that's one big problem. There are many ways to solve this, like permission blockchains. The second thing is, building on a public blockchain means that you have a lot of developers working for you, right? You need someone that can build the wallets, someone that can build these applications, that applications. It's all on public blockchains, and there can be a governance vote that changes, and now you're not exactly doing what you thought you'll be doing. So they're very fearful about integration. Enterprises, want an A to Z solution. So I think if you are able to solve this and everything that is regulation related, like to alleviate their worries about that, you'll see a lot more adoption. And then even fiat doesn't become a big thing. Fiat is a friction because it costs money to go from analog to digital, and vice versa costs a lot of money. But again, it's the cold start problem. If you can have an ecosystem that is fully digital at this point, then you don't have that problem. And then maybe your bank, and we see banks starting to kind of do that right now. You have a value in your wallet. It can be digital, it can be other thing, and you can with a click of a button transform from what type of how you want to use your value the best way, like universal hot wallet of sorts. And it's not there now, but I don't see my kids doing something different than using a universal hot wallet, right? Instead of going through various banks to change from Bitcoin to dollars to euros to yens, and each of these processes will take a few days and will cost 1% of everything. There's no point in that, and the banks know that as well, right? So there's a big question about the future. Who will issue the currency that we use? Is it central banks? It seems obvious because this is how things are done, the last 200, 300 years maybe. It wasn't always the case, not at all, right? We're just accustomed to that. So whether it's central banks, whether it's commercial banks, and the US right now is leaning towards letting commercial banks actually issue stable coins. Or maybe it's one of the the tech titans. Facebook, Meta had a brave attempt at that. But maybe they're not the right company to do that because of other issues, right? Maybe if Google wanted to do that, it would have been a bit different, maybe not at all. But who says, who will have the mandate to issue the currencies? When that is solved, you will see a lot more adoption, obviously.
So, a la respuesta de, bueno, pues no le costará a las empresas empezar a adoptar blockchain y tokens porque hay fricción a la hora de pasar de fiat a cripto. ¿Qué problemas pueden tener las empresas para empezar a adoptar blockchain de manera masiva? Él, nos ha dado tres cosas que habría que solucionar para realmente que se pudiera dar esto. La primera es la regulación. Las empresas tienen miedo a la regulación porque todavía no está clara. La segunda es que tienen miedo a las blockchains que sean permissionless, quiere decir pues que realmente no puedes cambiar nada de lo que está ahí y tienen miedo de perder un poco el control de esos datos que están ahí, que realmente una vez están puestas luego no pueda modificarlas, que bueno, personalmente pienso que realmente es el objetivo de la blockchain, pero realmente una empresa pues obviamente te va a tener miedo a perder el control de lo que está pasando. Y luego que quieren una solución de la A a la Z. Al final, yo lo que me estoy dando cuenta también personalmente que hay dos tipos, o empresas que contratan otras empresas para que les hagan una solución blockchain o crean su propia división blockchain dentro de la empresa. Claro, como es una cosa tan nueva, ellos quieren soluciones de la A a la Z, no intermedios. Entonces, hay un poco de escasez a la hora de dar solución a estas tres cosas y una vez veamos regulación, blockchains que realmente se sientan cómodas usando y equipos que puedan dar soluciones de la A a la Z, veremos muchísima más adopción por parte de las empresas de blockchain. Y luego está la pregunta de, que también crea incertidumbre, de quién tiene potestad para emitir estas monedas. ¿El gobierno? Un colectivo en una DAO, por ejemplo, empresas privadas como Meta, Google, etcétera. No hay claridad sobre eso. Y ahora tenemos por eso muchas criptomonedas y muchos ecosistemas. Cuando creemos más claridad en ese sentido, todo va a poder converger un poco más. Y todo eso es un poco conversaciones de futuro, que es lo que hace falta para que veamos empresas a diestro y siniestro usando blockchain. So thank you for that. I don't know if there's anyone in the public who wants to ask something. Yes? Do you have the mic there?
Hey, I'm a great fan of composability in public blockchains, the fact that any brand can spot a token and use that for any experience for the token holder, but that doesn't from a point of view, that doesn't fit with the fact that you have just said that companies do not like public blockchains because of losing control. So, which is your view? Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. How do you see the future in this way? Are we going, brands will like understand the power in marketing of using a public blockchain, or are we going to live in a scenario of silos and every brand has its own blockchain?
That's actually everybody heard that, right? So I will summarize it to whether the future is a public blockchains or enterprise, private blockchains, sort of a permissioned experience. You know, as always, it's not going to be 0 or 1. Personally, I'm quite certain that the future is in public blockchains, obviously, because if you truly understand what, you know, the Web3 movement is all about, like how to build in a way that is composable, right? So other builders can build on top of your software and connect it to other experiences. If you understand that the data or you know, identity and everything should be, you know, you should be your own custodian of that. And when experiences are built, they are kept on a public blockchain, and then people can build around this great other experiences. It makes very little sense that we will have all these, you know, private blockchains per enterprise. There will probably be some things where a private blockchain makes more sense, but it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm old enough to remember, you know, the intranet, like the organizational internet, right? Maybe it still exists in some places, but there was an organizational internet, right? And then an outside internet. Like for military uses, where you want to actually silo everything, then you will use that. But you know, if you want to build growth, the idea is to be open and connected. And this is why, you know, public blockchains like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and Kote to this extent do much better than the VMware solutions for enterprises or the IBM solution for enterprises. I think in the end it's sort of the question of that people asked, right? I was around when people asked, open source software? Nah, I don't see the business around it. I don't see this becoming so big. And here we are, right? Open source software has won 100, there is no doubt who's the winner right now, with this. Naval Ravikant had this quote, and I think it's brilliant once you get it. Composability of open source software is like compounded interest in finance, right? It's exactly the same thing. If you allow for that to happen, amazing experiences will arise from that. So that's probably the long answer to, I think, public blockchains.
Creo que es importante traducir esta porque es bastante adecuada. Ha preguntado si ve un futuro con blockchains públicas o blockchains privadas especializadas y controladas pues al final por la empresa o por soluciones, soluciones al dedo para la empresa, pero con menos descentralización de alguna manera. Y él decía que, que él cree que el futuro es público, que no tiene sentido que sea de otra manera por básicamente la composability en español sería, en castellano sería la capacidad de usar lo que otros ya han hecho antes. Y esto sería el equivalente al interés compuesto en finanzas. ¿Verdad que el interés compuesto cuando tú inviertes es pues cuando tú vas reinvirtiendo tus ganancias, al final el crecimiento es exponencial? Pues en el mundo de la creación de software dentro de blockchain, si el código es open source, es decir, si es público, tú puedes reutilizar lo que otra persona ya ha hecho para crecer a partir de ahí. Y eso hace que el crecimiento sea exponencial. Y de hecho es una de las razones por las cuales mucha gente cree que blockchain, siendo en su mayoría de open source y con el composability, está llegando y siendo adoptado mucho más rápido que otras tecnologías. Entonces, cuando entiendes el concepto de composabilidad, ves que la clave es que se use en blockchains públicas, porque recordemos que al final una blockchain no solo tiene transacciones financieras, sino que también puede tener smart contracts y al final es los programas y las aplicaciones que se usan para tener un uso. Y si eso es público, significa que lo puedes reusar y la innovación puede ser mucho más rápida. So thank you, Shahaf. I don't know if anyone else has any other question. Great. I think there was a super interesting and very needed talk because we are all seeing that blockchain is much more than a price going up and down. And it inspires for people to know where to look and also for all of us to actually get more grounded into blockchain. So thank you for your time. And see you around for more networking. Thank you for being in the island, and I hope it treats you well.
Thanks a lot. My last observation is that in this audience, I would say it's about 50% women and men, which is unprecedented for crypto. So something very good is happening in Ibiza. So thank you.